Have you ever heard of the concept of the Chesterton fence?
No.
You ever heard of that concept, Long Island Luke?
Can't say that I have.
Is it
Look
if
it
you
up.
piss on it, it'll electrify your piss and get...
Not quite exactly. It's the concept of sometimes you could be walking by in a field and you see a fence there. And then the reason why the fence is there is you're not really sure. You don't know why. It's been an old fence. It maybe even looks a little decrepit. Someone put it there and it seems like it doesn't serve any value. But then when you mess with it, all of the things you didn't realize that it does come pouring down on you.
It breaks the dam, yeah.
The boxing world is about to find out what a Chesterton fence, the Ali Act is, and I have seen complete silence from them. They do not know what they are up against. And all those boxers who said things like, oh, I would love for the boxing industry to be run by like it is in MMA, you're about to find out what that means. It is, what better advertisement, BC, could there be for a law that a monopoly refused to enter the space, basically,
this is dangerous.
until they could change the fucking laws.
Yes.
Wow.
This is very, very important.
Why? The reason boxers make huge money and MMA fighters don't is because of the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act. That's why. That's why. It is the thing that prevents them from having basically more than just getting big pay. It is the thing that prevents monopoly in the industry. Now, of course, that's imperfect, but it's the only thing I should say standing in the way.
First things first, what is the Ali Act? In short, the Muhammad Ali Act, a federal law designed to protect boxers from exploitation, ESPN would write, would be enacted in 2000, amended in 1996 by expanding upon legislation against exploitation, conflict of interest, and enforcement. In short, it's intended to prevent promoters from using predatory and anti-competitive practices against athletes while encouraging a free and open market.
One, it requires financial transparency. The promoter has to tell the fighter, and they have to be able to, show it through an audit, all the money they're making on the event, any kind of TV rights. They have to show how much they're making and losing, the whole 9 yards. They get real financial transparency. That's the first thing. Second thing, how about this one? If you're a manager, you can't be a promoter at the same time with the same fighter. It requires, among other things, it's more than just that, but they require that breakup as well. So a promoter can't be a manager for the same guy at the same time. That's part of the codified law. 3, it requires there to be sanctioning bodies who hold the titles separately from the promoter. They have to have an independent ranking system, a reason why rankings go up and down. This, again, all this process is supposed to be transparent. Again, we all know it doesn't work exactly perfect in the world, but there is separation. The promoter does not control the title in boxing, so that's part of it.
And guess who stands to benefit the most from this? That would be Dana White, Turki Ali Sheikh, Ari Emmanuel, and more heavy hitters. The Ali Act, as ESPN reported, runs directly counter to Dana White's UFC. The promotion recently settled a $375 million antitrust suit filed by the fighters, alleging the promotion was an illegal monopsony that used anti-competitive business practices to suppress the wages of fighters and stifle any rival promotions.
I know that you've seen this on the horizon. I mean, we all have. I think you've been taking particular notice and sort of waiting for what happened this week to come, right? And where there's been a bill presented to possibly change the face of boxing, right?
Absolutely. And change the face of boxing in a way that it's going to strip the rights of boxers. This bill basically says, hey, a new type of promoter could be created that doesn't have to comply with the Ali Act so long as they do certain things. So that's terrible for boxers, and boxers need to pay attention to this.
Lawyer Patrick English also had a very strong open letter on what he calls the Ali Destruction Act. As an individual who was heavily involved in the drafting of the Professional Boxer Health and Safety Act and the Muhammad Ali Act, and who has an extensive boxing resume, I feel that I am uniquely qualified to comment on the proposed amendments to the acts.
This is a bill that overwhelmingly benefits TKO, which is the WWE UFC parent company, which, along with Turki Ali Sheikh, formed a boxing promotion, which announced last March plans to form a new boxing league. TKO has been signing dozens of mid-level fighters. They're currently working on a TV deal. I think they're going to get one, probably one that winds up bundled with the UFC rights, and this league is looking to launch in early 2026. Under the current laws, the UFC model cannot exist in boxing. You can't be a manager and a promoter. You can't create your own titles. You can't have your own rankings. It's federal legislation. If it passes, the UFC model can come to boxing.
The bill does something that McCain expressly disavowed. There had been a history of coziness between certain promoters and ratings orgs. For background on this, read Jack Newfield's book. And read about the indictment and ultimate conviction of Bob Lee. Then the IBF president. The act was intended to create, among other things, a firewall between ratings organizations and promoters. The proposed amendment destroys that firewall as to a selected entity, which will be awarding in-house championships based upon ratings, which excludes boxers not affiliated with the entity. It's a betrayal of the current act and of what John McCain and those who worked with him were trying to accomplish. He typed, when it was initially drafted by John McCain, plus his staff, there was one simple objective: make boxing better, safer, and more fair to the boxers. He says that is not what we are seeing right now.
This bill, the Muhammad Ali American Boxing Revival Act, is legislation directly tailored to help TKO. TKO is so powerful that they're getting federal laws written, not necessarily with their name in mind, but with every other kind of protection that only essentially protects them. Or I should say at a bare minimum, mostly protects them. And in fact, written just for them, perhaps is the more operative way to put this.
He then spells it out quite clearly for everyone to see, not just fans, but also the competitors, what changes will be on the horizon and how it will affect those quite literally putting their bodies on the line. The proposed act betrays fighters by exempting what will be a single Zuffa-controlled entity from the following provisions designed to protect fighters would not be subject to the following: protection from coercive contracts and required disclosures for promoter. We'll leave a link to the full letter in the description box below. I highly recommend you check it out. It's really not hard to understand why Dana White not only pledged his allegiance to Donald Trump because he has become practically a billionaire, but also not even just with antitrust legislation that was going on, but also because he has his hand now in TKO. He stands to benefit from this venture. And what he wants to do is make as much as possible, along with other notable major players, by screwing over the boxer. That is all that this is. It is power-hungry men trying their best to diminish the rights and what those fighters / boxers are not only enabled to receive, but are well within their right to receive, and thus weakening the laws as much as they can so they could make that much more. I mean, Luke is right. Like, TKO was laughable. It was an afterthought. And now that Turki Al-Sheikh, who has endless amounts of money because of the PIF, they can do whatever they want. They can give campaign donations, which is a form of legalized bribery, however they want. And what's going to happen is they are going to win. This is going to be introduced. They're going to rush it through because they fear the midterms. We're already seeing that, obviously, with Texas. And this is probably going to pass. And it's probably going to make boxing a lot worse.